Secretary, what do people need to know about the roads and the airports, the transportation system now, and what will they need to know tomorrow and going forward?
So by far the most important thing to know is if you're under evacuation orders, get out. Listen to those who are warning you in areas where it's not safe. And so many responders are doing their part to facilitate that process. We're working through our Federal Highway Administration with Florida's DOT and local officials, things like making sure that the shoulder can be used to effectively add a lane on I-4 or I-75, anything to facilitate that process. When it comes to airports, the airlines have added capacity and capped fares going out of the affected airports, but most of those are either closed or they're about to close. So mainly we're talking about surface transportation now when it comes to evacuation. Sometimes, by the way, the evacuations are shorter than you would think. It's a matter of just a few miles to get from a place that would be totally inundated to a shelter or a place that's considered safe. But again, if you're under those kind of evacuation orders, listen to them. Then you got the maritime piece. That's mainly a story for, of course, after the storm has passed. But we're very focused on things like Port Tampa Bay, where about 40% of refined petroleum that comes in serving the state of Florida comes through. We just won't know until the damage assessments are through how long it's going to take to get that port back up and running.
Have you had a deployment like this or preparations like this for anything you've seen before?
Well, look, as I speak, we're in the middle of the response to Hurricane Helene. That continues to be a major effort spanning multiple states. And again, that's everybody from Federal Highways to the Federal Aviation Administration involved. I remember seeing the wreckage of Hurricane Ian flying up with the Coast Guard when that hit Florida a couple years ago. But I have never seen a storm with the destructive, at least since I've had this assignment, with the destructive potential we're talking about with Milton.
One of the things that everyone is dealing with now, particularly the government in its response to Helene and preparations for Milton, misinformation. Yeah. You had an interesting conversation with Elon Musk just a few days ago about misinformation that he was spreading.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in picking up the phone, so I saw information that he was putting out that didn't seem right to me. It suggested that the FAA was preventing emergency flights, which is definitely not the case. So I encouraged him to talk to me. That's what I would do with any major business leader who's encountering a problem. And we spoke and found that there was an issue. It wasn't that the FAA or FEMA was preventing emergency operations, but there were some coordination issues on the ground. We talked about it and got the information that was needed, and that issue was resolved. So, I guess the moral of the story for me is before taking to Twitter, getting online, work through things through credible sources. And often the most credible sources in these disaster scenarios, in addition, of course, to FEMA, is folks on the ground, your local first responders.
Has that made misinformation go away? Has Elon Musk stopped spreading stuff?
Unfortunately, no. We have a massive misinformation problem. And this is something that actively harms the ability of responders to do their job. I think a lot of it's driven by politics. Some of it's just the internet doing what it seems to do lately and amplify the loudest or strangest thing that is being said. But this is a real problem with life and death implications, because one of the most important things you need in any disaster scenario, you need power, you need water, you need transportation, you need information, good, accurate information. That's what this administration will provide, and that's what we're also, of course, counting on the media to make sure it gets out there.
Information is part of the infrastructure of disaster relief. It really is. The New York Times had a story